was dragged around and pummeled down and pushed into the water. I was vilified and mortalized. Is this baptism for a holy daughter?
I am here with Leonie Casanova, artiste extraordinaire, singer, songwriter, general superhuman being. Many of you will be familiar with Leonie because she's contributed songs to The World Unseen, to I Can't Think Straight, and our new movie The House of Tomorrow. And she's also been on camera in a tiny little cameo in the polo scene in I Can't Think Straight, and also in a much more substantial role in The World Unseen. She was Doris, the waitress who brought together Amina and Miriam over a fallen plate with donuts. Catalyst, exactly, for true love. So Leonie, I just wanted to have a quick chat with you about your music today, because we do music, movies, and mayhem. Actually, it's not music, movies, and mayhem, but today it is music, movies, and mayhem.
This is good.
So, Leonie, let's talk about your beautiful songs. Now, we've had a lot of amazing feedback from Little Feeling, for Holy Daughter, for all of the songs that are featured in the movies, and some that have been my birthday present, like I Wanted New York.
Ah yes, this is true.
Who writes these songs?
Well, I do for the most part. I have worked with some other songwriters, which has been wonderful just in terms of developing and expanding what I can do on my own, and because everybody sort of brings I guess something different to the table, and I oftentimes hear a song in my head and have found sometimes working with other people just helps take it from just this sort of floating idea, which is kind of, it starts to manifest, but then it's helpful to have somebody help take it all the way and kind of finish it off.
So tell me about being on stage, because I think more and more for recording, for artists, it's less about the recording, more about the performance. So how is it for you being on stage, because it's such a different vibe from, I would imagine, sitting in a room and writing a song. How do you cope with it, and what do you like or not like about it?
Well, for me, I think being on stage is the climax of all the work. It's the climax of all the acts of not being able to write, or being able to write, or working with other people, or even recording in the studio. And when people ask me to describe to them, I always say it kind of feels personally like it's when everything just aligns, like all the bits of Leonie, which so often seem very fragmented and airy and all over the place. There's something that happens, I don't know, in the first few seconds of being on stage and just sort of acknowledging that people are there and having the lights, and just before I start, it very often feels that all the bits just come together.
It must be quite something to go through. Is it a big high and low, and do you think that almost unnatural high and low? Because I felt it in a very tiny way at film festivals where we've been packed out and people are literally screaming, because there was so much enjoyment. I know. Every time I walk in a room, it's atrocious. But do you think that contributes to the fragility of certain musical artists? You think about, listening to today on the radio, it was Amy Winehouse, and what you say, you just think, tragic.
I absolutely, I can't speak for them yet.
I hope not for a very long time before you
But in just my experience, yes, I do. The swings are massive. And although generally I feel incredible after performances, I also then go into a hyper analysis of what's just happened, how it could have been delivered better, I got stuck, or I pulled my hair, or I got stuck in my nostril, or whatever, and all this stuff, which I so understand when people say they often just don't watch their performances back, or they don't want to hear, because you go into all the critical stuff of how it could have been done better, and I think the key is really to just maybe schedule enough stuff so you're not so hung up on the thing you just did, kind of feed off the energy and just kind of get on to the next thing. But absolutely, if I can, and I do, I feel an energy from a room of whatever, 50, 100 people, if you're performing to thousands and thousands of people, it's surreal.
Can you tell me 3 songwriters that you think are amazing?
I think Joni Mitchell is incredible. I think Leonard Cohen, of course.
Genius.
Yes, Bob Dylan, and these are 3 pillars. I'm not saying anything that most people don't know, but I don't know. They're, if and when I feel like listening to stuff that I can still go, wow. wow.
Well, I would say your lyrics are right up there with those three, and I know everybody's going to say I'm saying that because I'm a friend, or done all this, but I honestly think that's true.
Well, that's very
emotional. Because you can have intellectually interesting lyrics, but to have that emotion that moves you is another thing altogether. And I think you have, but which isn't a question. It's just going to make you sit there and squirm. But I had to just get that out.
Yes.
Next. So, who's the best film director you've ever worked with? Just out of interest. There's no pressure.
Well, he just happens to be sitting on the couch with me at this very second.
Great, me? But go on, let's talk about the film. What was it like, was The World Unseen your first film role, apart from
being a spectator, number one. Somebody wrote to me and said, I realised you had a very important role. You weren't just polo spectator, you were spectator. Number one.
That's right, well, we thought you deserved that.
We're
fair.
It was incredible. The working on the film was incredible. In every way, it was just...
it was a fun set in South Africa.
It was such a fun set. It was fantastic being back in South Africa. I've said, I think, in about just about every interview. I went to school in Swaziland, so spent some time in South Africa. It was amazing being back there. It was just such a great vibe, and I performed in plays. I had done theatre through school, through university. Acting to me doesn't feel like an insane stretch from the music performance. I'm on stage quite a bit. But it was, it was wonderful to see all the bits come together, to watch you go through the process, from book to script to film to real flesh and blood and crews flying in, and just the mayhem of that, spectacular.
Movies and mayhem.
Yeah.
And how about that dance scene with Sheetal?
Oh
in
yeah.
The cafe?
Oh, she can get down.
She can get down.
Sheetal can get down.
You won the toe shaking there, but that's how do you do that thing that you do, by the way?
It was quite accidental.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
I've never seen anybody shake like that.
You need to watch more videos.
So, yes, if you haven't seen The World Unseen, there's probably a clip coming to the screen right this second, where Leonie's dancing with Sheetal, and I actually got that idea for the shaking that she does, and before I'd seen her do it regularly on stage, because you came to our wedding.
Yes.
Actually, before we were shooting, when we were in pre-production on I Can't Think Straight. And a friend of ours had gotten in some belly dancers, as you do for Middle Eastern weddings. And one of the belly dancers was going around. She had an amazing thing she did with her breasts, really. I think they were sort of opposable. I don't know if they were fully hers, but they certainly moved in very interesting ways. And then she challenged everybody to dance. I failed miserably. But Leonie got up, pushed back her chair, and took her on. And of course, by the end of it, this woman had to admit defeat. And when I saw what Leonie was doing,
oh dear. I don't know if it was Leonie got up. If I recall, Leonie was forced to get up.
Don't spoil the story. She threw the chair down and said,
"Bring it
aside, belly dance woman."
Yeah,
but you got into it.
That was fun, yes, at your wedding.
It was a lot of fun. So based on that,
planted the seed.
Yes, and I think Hanan said, this is going to go well in a movie. And I said, really? Do you think it could go well in a movie? Which movie? And she's like, The World Unseen. Why do you write and why do you sing?
Such a good question. I write and I sing because I feel it is the truest expression of who I am. And I think to know me, we could hang out for hours, but I think once one is into that space, that's me, that's who I am, and it's such a big, but to even say it's what I do just almost diminishes it. It just feels like it's me. It just feels like it's what I'm meant to be doing, it's what I love to do. Yes, I stress and I pull my hair out of that oftentimes, but it's just fundamentally who I am, I believe.
And it is who she is, and we are going to be making Leonie's album this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
thank
genius.
you very much.